Dear
all, a very good afternoon to everyone. Well, this afternoon is really for all of us. Today we have with us international guest for the Modern Talk webinar series, Dr. Chikwelu Maduabuchi Mbonu, Chief Lecturer and Dean, School of Financial Studies, Federal Polytechnic, Oko, Anambra State, Nigeria. We have Vice Chairman Sri Shantanu Karya sir, and Group Director Professor Dr. Puneet Kumar Dwivedi sir. I, Assistant Professor Neha Sharma Chaudhary, Head Admissions, welcome you all to the webinar topic Post-COVID-19 Higher Education Scenario Lessons from Africa and Scope for Indian Education Sector. Before starting the session, I would like to give a brief introduction about our organization. Modern Group of Institution is a leading group of premier institution in Indore affiliated to RGPV, Bhopal, Devi Ahalya University, Indore, CBSC, New Delhi, and approved by AICT, New Delhi, NCT, and PCI, New Delhi. Modern Group is imparting quality education in the field of pharmacy, management, commerce, and education. We offer more than 8 courses in this field like B Pharma, M Pharma, D Pharma, BBA, BA, BCom, and BEd. Modern Group encompasses 2 leading pharmaceutical industries, Modern Lab and Nandini Medical Private Limited. Modern Laboratory was established in 1979 by late Sri P.C. Karya sir. Nandini Medical Laboratories was established in 1998 and both gained the prestigious acclamation in the All India rating of pharma industries. We also have Modern International School established in 2013. We believe in innovation and entrepreneurship. Hence, we introduced MP's first pharma incubation center, that is Modern Incubation Center, in the year of 2019, which is supported by the MSME Government of India. Recently, we have received World Book of Record UK and World Record Academy USA for making the largest human image of medication capsule. Also, we are recognized participating institute of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan in association with IIT Delhi and MHRD Government of India. The institute also have Modern Innovation Cell, which is Institute Innovation Cell by MHRD Innovation Cell. Now I request our Vice Chairman, Mr. Shantanu Karya sir, to welcome our guest, Dr. Chikwelu Mbonu sir. Sir, you are audible. We have 113 attendees with us. I request Vice Chairman Shantanu Karya sir to welcome our today's guest. I think some technical error is there. I request Shantanu Karya sir to welcome our guest. On behalf of Modern Group of Institutions, I welcome you, sir. And before moving further, it is my honor to introduce today's guest, Dr. Chikwelu Mbonu. Dr. Chikwelu Mbonu is presently a Chief Lecturer, Dean, School of Financial Studies of Federal Polytechnic, Oko, Anambra State, Nigeria. He has served the Polytechnic previously in different capacities, including two-term head, Department of Accountancy, member of the Polytechnic Examination Committee for more than 5 years, coordinator, research and development, School of Business Financial Studies. He was a part-time lecturer, examiner, Nigerian College of Accountancy Professional Program from 2007 to 2011. After his master's degree with UNIZIT, he helped to develop the MSc program, Oil and Gas Accounting. He did doctorate degree in management with bias in entrepreneurship with Sharda University, Greater Noida, UP, India. He is a member of the many professional bodies, Association of National Accountant of Nigeria 2001, International Triple Helix Association Turin, Italy 2014, Associate Member Chartered Institute of Taxation Nigeria 2017, and Associate Member Institute of Entrepreneurs 2019. Dr. Mbonu has participated and presented papers at both national and international conferences, some of which includes Reviewer, Babson College Entrepreneurship, Research Conference 2014, MA USA. He presented paper at the International Triple Helix Association conferences in Kyushu University, Tomsk, Siberia, Russia, 2014, and Tsinghua University, Beijing, China, 2015. He is a thematic research group member of the International Triple Helix Association, Knowledge and Technology Transfer and University Industry Partnership. He is in the editorial board of Pioneer Chief Editor of the Journal of International Accounting, Federal Polytechnic Oko, and Journal of Industrial and Rural Development, Publishing India. He was the external examiner to Accountancy Department, Akalubium, Federal Polytechnic from 2017 to 2018. He served as the President Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship International OCO chapter for more than 5 years, council member, Chapel of Transfiguration, Federal Polytechnic OCO. He is married to Obiageli and has 3 children. On behalf of Modern Group of Institution, I again welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma. Thank you, ma. Thank you.
The impact of pandemic brings a lot of changes, both nationally and globally. Now, I would like to request Dr. Chikwelu Mbonu, sir, to start the introductory talk on today's webinar topic, that is post-COVID-19 higher education scenario, lessons from Africa and scope for Indian education sector. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, ma. I'm particularly glad to be in today's session. I'm grateful to the Modern Group of Institutions, all the leaders in the great institution. I'm happy to be here today. Namaste once again. The topic is on post-COVID-19 higher education global scenario. Like you have pointed out, the pandemic has affected both Africa and the whole world. So the way you are feeling it in India, we are feeling it here in Nigeria and the rest of Africa. So, but the scope for higher education, definitely it has affected the higher education in Nigeria here. All the universities, colleges, polytechnics have been shut for close to 4 months since March. So we have the schools have not been in session. So the students have been at home and they've been idle. So the challenge for the institutions now is to how do we tackle the consequences of the pandemic so that the academic program can still be on. So, and the online learning is the one key source that institutions are now using in Nigeria to see how they can keep abreast of academic programming in the institution. So that is that. So, and I believe that it will not be the same again. It will not be the same post-COVID-19. The higher education institutions in Africa and even the rest of the world will not be the same again. So because the pandemic have pushed us to begin to develop strategies on how we can maintain our academic programs. So we definitely have to devise strategies to sustain the tempo. Otherwise, we'll be taken out. We will not be able to meet up with the challenges. So the institutions are able to come up with strategies on how to meet up this post-COVID-19 era. Are the institutions that is going to be on. And the only way now is the e-learning. Online, I think, is coming to an end. Classroom learning, we need to, embrace online learning, e-learning, to see how we can maintain our students, because we are staying in a very competitive environment. If you are not able to keep up with the online to maintain your students in touch with them, then their competitors will take the students away from you. Their competitors who are able to meet up to the challenge of COVID-19 will be able to take the students away from the institutions that are not able to meet up with the challenge of COVID-19. Before now, there are challenges that have confronted higher education over the years. And the institutions have been dynamic to trying to respond to those challenges. From 1960s, the number of students that are normally admitted in higher educations is normally minimal figures. But now we see millions of students looking for admissions. So how do we maintain access? At the same time, maintain quality, and at the same time, maintain the scope. So these are the challenges, and higher education have to be able to be dynamic enough at each period of or time in history. They need to devise the ways to meet up with these challenges, like entrepreneurship, for example. Due to the challenge of funding, we find out that entrepreneurship has become a major part of higher education. Challenge of funding, challenge of unemployment, and other challenges. So we need to be dynamic enough. Post COVID-19 is not an exception, because after COVID-19, there are other challenges that may come up. So as institutions of higher learning, we need to be abreast of the tempo. We need to be ahead of the tempo. Whatever the challenges that come up to higher education, we'll be able to, be futuristic, be strategic enough to see that learning is not stopped, that we devise strategies to still maintain quality educations to our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. That was truly informative and amazing start. I'm very happy to announce that currently we are having around 174 participants. That includes more than 5 international attendees with us. Right. So now further, I will start the question answer session, sir. So we have some questions. Initially, sir, I would like to ask you that how the higher education scenario will change after this pandemic COVID-19.
Okay. One thing that is definite is lectures have to change. It's no longer going to be classroom mode. We need to first find a way before we need to prioritize our spending pattern because now on the part of the institutions, there is need to invest more on IT infrastructure, information institutions. There's need for parents to embrace buying laptop for their children instead of normal pen and books, and also adapt to seeing their children browsing through the laptop instead of turning books. There's a saying that normally says that the illiterate of 20th century are the people who cannot read and write. But the illiterate of 21st century are the people who cannot adapt to the dynamics of information communication technology. In this post-COVID-19, information communication technology is going to play a very key role. And of course, we are in fourth industrial revolution. They're like in one of the African countries, in Kenya, for example, they are saying that these only institutions that are ready, even South Africa, these only institutions that are ready that can be able to maintain safety of the students will be allowed to open. That if institutions, you have hostels that can accommodate students, you have test kits, you'll be able to get test kits, have the sanitizers and all that. You have those things. If you have facilities that can make your students to be in-house students, then with those things, they can allow you to start. But if you don't have them, you will not be allowed to start. So it's not going to be a level playing ground. So it's the only institutions that we're able to have the necessary ICT infrastructure, have the necessary other necessary infrastructures will be able to meet up with opening up the institutions. Also, the e-learning is one of the key things which is likely to disrupt higher education in post-COVID-19 era. Before, there's this doubt, less emphasis on e-learning, but definitely it has come to stay. It's going to disrupt higher education. And that's where we talk about radical innovation in entrepreneurship. It comes with radical innovation because if you are not able to meet up with the change, of course, you will be egged out by competitors. So that is that. For example, Kenya, in Kenya, they despite the pandemic, they had their PhD and master's thesis defense through online, through Zoom. They had the PhD and master's degree, thesis defense. So that is the way we have to. We need to change. The world of classroom, is over. We have to combine classroom and e-learning. So that is my take on that. the ability to provide infrastructures, prioritize to improve e-learning will be something that will be given a special focus. Thank you.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. It was really impactful and very well explained by you. My next question, sir, that how the African nations are dealing with the COVID-19 challenges with respect to higher education, sir.
Okay. I will start with my country, Nigeria. Right now, we have more than 12,000 cases in Nigeria. Already more than 350 people have died from the pandemic. So the government have said that there is no date yet for higher education to open. So what the government is now doing is to encourage e-learning for institutions to see how they can adopt e-learning strategies to maintain contact with their students. So, and it comes with its own challenges because we are having a challenge of internet connectivity in Nigeria and also in Africa. One, the cost of data, access to data is expensive. Then also for the students living in the villages where you don't have internet facilities, it's also a challenge to them. So there are challenges that come with it, but despite that, dealing with this is to adopt, like in South Africa, universities are being encouraged to use e-learning online platform. So there are challenges of students who don't have phones or who don't have laptop. I think they are in that they are having an arrangement to see how students can be facilitated with laptops or tablets or mobile phones so that they will be able to access material. And also students that don't have tablets or they don't have mobile phones, how they can materials can be uploaded to them on the portal of the institutions, and they'll be able to print it out and have a hard copy they can study where they don't have phones or laptop. So these are options because you need to give equal opportunity to all the students, both the poor and the rich students. So these are some of the ways African nations are doing tackling with it. And the only way they do it, some are even using WhatsApp. They're using Google Classrooms. Then they have equally, some institutions do have their institution portals through which they upload materials to students. There until the time for examination, some are still proposing that they may likely take the exam through online. Some are still saying that, well, it is not yet clear, the course is not yet clear as to the mode of examination. But the strategy now is that for some countries that have been able to maintain the increase of the pandemic, the number of increase, like Benin Republic, for example, they have few cases that are saying that students can come back to the campus from this month. So for those countries that have been able to control the pandemic, the spread of the pandemic, somehow they are trying to resume activities, both online and physical learning. So there are, but for most countries, the e-learning in Kenya, they are using it. In South Africa, it is the method that is being adopted. And they are receiving plan now to see how to reopen the institutions in phases. For example, in South Africa, they are thinking of having level 4, level 3, level 2, level 1. So in level 4, they say that final year students and students that have some practical orientations may come in to finish. So they are giving priorities to students whose academic calendar can end this year, to see how they will end this year, especially final year students. But those that the academic calendar is likely to spread next year, they will come back later. So the essence is that the ability of institution to admit the student, test them. Like in Nigeria, one of the private institutions, like the modern group of institutions and some private institutions stand opportunity to reopen because India, for example, have a very high IT infrastructure. Most institutions have free Wi-Fi, which we don't have in most Nigerian institutions and African institutions. So using online mechanism, institutions can be reopened. So you find out that in that South African scenario, they are trying to see how limited number of students can be admitted, test them. You need to test them. There will be a serious testing. Every 2 weeks, there will be a test in the campus. So these are some of the
Yes, sir. Am I audible to you, sir?
hello.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Hello. Yeah, I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I'm hearing.
Thank you so much, sir. It was
Yes.
very clean,
Yes.
sir.
I'm hearing.
Yes.
I think there is some connection.
Right,
Hello.
sir.
Yes.
So moving to the
Yes.
further
Yes. I'm here.
question, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Taking the third question.
Yes, sir.
That what would be the
Okay, go
impact?
ahead.
What would be the impact on student exchange and faculty exchange program after this pandemic?
Now there is a proposal that was done in London on what they call co-planning of syllabus or content between institutions. Student exchanges and faculty exchanges are a core part of internationalization program of higher education, and it's one of the variables of higher educations of repute. Before now, student exchange and faculty exchange is known as maybe somebody traveling from one country to another to study. Like I've gone to India to study, and that has facilitated it. That's what the form of student faculty exchange. It has equally helped a lot. So for example, in India, some hundreds of years back, I read about a Chinese that came to India to study. These are part of internationalization program. So, but definitely with the pandemic, you find out that people are not traveling. Plane is not traveling again. So there's need now to take the resources now to the students. For example, there was a time in those Commonwealth years when in the UK they increased school fees that developing countries can't afford to come there to study. So one key thing that they developed was to see how they can have branches of these big universities in some of these developing countries. And that is why in Nigeria, then they have such university like University College Ibadan, which was a branch of University of London. And so you find out that with the COVID, we'll now think of how on limitation of students' ability to come over through using online technologies or e-learning technologies, how institutions can be able to partner together. They can be able to partner together, or having branches in those countries and the ability to extend quality lectures and materials to those students that is either coming from developing countries or the students that want to cross who are limited by travel. Now, COVID-19 has made traveling very difficult. And now we now see the era of e-conferences. There's people don't travel now. My professional body, they had their first annual general meeting online by Zoom meeting. So this is a strategy, another strategy where e-learning can be used to bridge the gap in student-faculty exchange. Where the students are not able to come, they can still come, or if they are tested very well and admitted in a safe environment. But since limitation of travel because of COVID-19, we have to find a way that IT infrastructure can be used to reach out these quality resources that are there. So it's e-learning all the way. If we are able to, normal student faculty is either that the faculty comes to your country or the student comes to your country. Like there's one model that was adopted in London, where University of London is partnering with some universities in Africa and China to develop contents. They develop contents together, and thereby students, for example, in Nigeria, can be able to be taught using that content that is developed with input of those foreign universities. Like, for example, where we have student exchange with modern institutions, we can have, we can develop content together where we develop content, and we find out if we are awarding BSc here, we find out that it is the same thing that is done that in India. You find out that the input of the faculties in India is made there, and the quality is maintained. So these are areas that we can go about it, having joint co-content development between institutions, and also using IT infrastructure that are supposed to come over to be trained, can be able to access those. So these are some of the things. So we find out that e-learning is actually a disruptive, is going to disrupt higher education. And we need to adapt, we need to change with it, and we see how we can move using it to bridge some of these things, because student faculty exchange is one key thing about internationalization of an entrepreneurial university. So, and it's something that you don't have to toy with. So we'll now see how these students rich faculties that are supposed to come over COVID-19, we can now use IT infrastructure to get the rich materials and also teaching. And that is why we need to develop IT, for example, internet facility. You can see my this thing is being interrupted. We need to invest heavily on internet access in some of our developing countries in Africa. There's need to invest heavily on it, and there's need to partner. There's a model in America where we give rich quality online education to students, where banks can now invest heavily on IT infrastructure for the institutions, and they will be able to share the revenue from it. Institutions can keep maybe like 50% of the revenue, or the bank will keep 40% of the revenue. The important thing is for the banks or the institutions to invest on having a very rich IT infrastructure, so the students will be able to access quality online lectures and materials. So because it costs a lot for you to have a quality online lectures. You know, in one African country that's just saying, it's not saying online. What's the quality of the online? Once the quality is not there, then the aim is defeated. So these are the key things that we need to look at. And when you look at it, using the triangle, for example, you know, the triangle have 3 equal sides. One side may represent access. One side will represent quality. Okay? And we find out that using the triangle, for example, if we are to maintain, if we want to increase scope, for example, which is one side, scope is having large number of students in a classroom, the quality on the other side will be reduced. Despite the fact, we find out that with the online e-learning, you can increase, with e-learning, you can increase the 2 sides of the triangle. That is, you need to increase access, increase quality. Increase access, increase quality, and then cost. The other side of the triangle is reduced. With e-learning, you find out that the cost side of the triangle is greatly reduced, but at the same time, you are increasing quality, you are increasing access. The number of students that we are able to access quality education, the quality of education, the cost is reduced. You can only achieve it with e-learning. There's what happened in one African country, Kenya. Before COVID-19 in Kenya, they invest in real estate that so much so that universities make the cost of real estate to be very expensive. But now they need to reprioritize. Universities in developing countries or even Africa need to reprioritize what you need to invest now on e-learning. With e-learning, you don't need to have real estate. You don't need to have so much real estate. You find out that you have reduced costs. You have increased quality of the side of the triangle. You have increased access, which is the challenge of higher education in Africa. We have problem of access. Millions of students, candidates want to engage in university education, but they are not admitted every year. We have challenge of quality in Africa. So with e-learning, you can get quality resources. We can get quality professors in India to give lectures over here in Nigeria. So you find out that the e-learning has bridged the gap a whole lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. That was really nicely explained. Now, we are speaking and you are talking about the online education and the quality education. So we have received some questions with the participants also. I would like to ask on the behalf of them that do you think the online teaching will be as effective as classroom teaching would be? This question is asked by the Sazia Khan.
Hello?
Should
Hello?
I repeat the question, sir?
Okay. Well, the online teaching will be effective as a classroom teaching. Depending if it is a practical courses that require practical, definitely we need to devise classroom to find how they will do their practicals. But you know, there's nothing that technology cannot do now. You know, with technology, before the architects can only draw on their drawing table. But now with Corel Draw and a whole lot of software, they find out they can draw better drawings now. So, but what I'm saying is, yes, it's dual. We need to approach dual method. Okay, there are courses that you can have quality teaching using online. Okay, the aspect of courses you can deliver quality, you can give quality teaching using online, but there are aspects of practical aspect of it that needs to be done practically, and that is where investment on e-learning, because there are softwares that can equally be developed that can help practicals in some of these courses. But there are so much gap now that you don't have such software. So we need to approach it using dual mode with the COVID-19. You know, the practicals that will have to be done, unless where technology have afforded, where you have e-learning software that you can do your practicals, okay? So you need to approach dual mode to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I agree. But there are a lot of students who cannot afford the laptop or even smartphones. So how these students will become the part of the online learning, sir?
Well, that is where the intervention efforts, like in Nigeria, most of the intervention effort that are given to small scale businesses, sharing foods and all that. But higher education have not been actually factored into the intervention. There are about 50 billion naira that have been voted towards intervention. But my query is, how much have been devoted in higher education? If government can come in there, intervention can be given to students. You're not just doing online. These students have to be trained. Then you need to give them support. For the students that are from very poor background, you see how you can get laptop, mobile phone for them through intervention fund. That is where government funding should be looked at. Intervention should only be going to, also higher education is also a business. For the private sector, there is a for-profit, we normally call them for-profit higher educations. So the intervention should also go for profit higher education, the private institutions, so that it will facilitate them, one, on the part of the students, even on the part of the staff, or the staff of those for profit, so that they'll be able to pay salaries. Now the institutions are not on. And then also students don't drop out. There is, for example, in Malawi, there's high rate of students drop out, even faculty drop out because they're not being paid. So they have to look for greener pastures for profit institutions or private institutions. At the same time, for the students, because some of these students sponsor themselves, they pay their school fees. So, and even the parents, it's difficult for the parents to get the money now because some of them have been laid off. Some of the parents are not being paid as what they are supposed to pay. They are not easy for them to buy laptop for their children now. It's not easy for them to buy phone for their children now. So palliatives or intervention of the government should be able to see how to give it to for-profit institutions and higher educations to see how they can bring these interventions to these areas, buying laptops, buying phones for students, paying salaries for staff and other faculties, and also helping the institutions to maintain e-learning facilities. So these are areas that intervention of government should be addressed on a serious note. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable views on it. My next question is that the pandemic has significantly disrupted the higher education. So what would be the scopes and opportunities for the higher education can be seen in future, sir?
Well, well, partly I've addressed it. It's established fact that the pandemic has disrupted higher education. For how many months now? About 4 months, students have been at home. The institutions have been idle. Researches are not done. International conferences are shelved. So it has disrupted the entire higher education. So, but the question, like you said, how do we cope with these challenges? You know, so like I said earlier, it's just to devise e-learning strategies to address some of these shortfalls. One, we have key drivers of change in higher education. Number one is the internet. Number two is the cost of higher education. These are key drivers. These are change agents, key drivers of change in higher education in the present dispensation. So these areas that we need to pay special attention, the internet. For example, in Africa, we have very poor internet. So there's need to invest on internet, improve the bar. That is why now we are talking at times, we have fluctuation of voice, fluctuation of that. You know, well, that's the area, for example, India, when I was in India have a very good internet, quality internet. In universities, you have free Wi-Fi, you know, 24/7 and high band. So we need to have such facilities in Africa, yeah, in institutions. So, and these are key drivers. Cost of higher education. How do we deal with the cost? These are the areas that we need to look at, you know. So, and like I said, e-learning have flattened the triangle. With the e-learning, you find out that the cost is reduced, quality is increased, the quality side of the triangle is increased, the access part of the triangle is increased, the cost aspect is reduced. So this key driver is private higher education. You will notice that in Nigeria, we almost have the number of public institutions and private institutions, they're almost at par. The private institutions that are trying to outnumber the public institutions. And I believe the same trend is happening in some countries like India and all, because it's obvious that the government cannot be able to maintain the supply. They cannot be able to maintain the demand. They can't be able to, the demand for higher education is so much, the government can't do it. So they're encouraging the private institutions to come on board. And that is it. And private institutions are quite advantaged in a number of ways. For example, in Western world, they're trying to edge the public institutions now. And that is why you now have what they call research institutions and teaching institutions, teaching universities. Now, the public institutions is now trying to now focus on research. The teaching now, because the private institutions are more flexible. They're more easy with the e-learning, they're more flexible. So you find out you can't compete with them. And that I can see why modern institutions now, I'm talking on their Zoom network. You know, you can't compete with them because they're more flexible. So in Western world, you find out that area of teaching, you see that the private institutions have taken over teaching. Research now is left for the public institution. So, and it's a challenge. So the private institutions need to be encouraged. Their form of business model need to be encouraged, you know, to be able to sustain. Another one is internationalization. These are key drivers of change in higher education. You know, there are four of them: the internet, the cost of higher education, the private higher education, and then the internationalization. So these are areas, strategies, the variables the higher educations need to be on using e-learning modes to see how they will have a very strong internationalization with leading universities and even with developing institutions. Okay, so then also the private institutions have to be developed too. They have to equally refocus where their strengths are, especially with this e-learning. You find out that, for example, a private institution like modern institution can be opened. If there's a proposal by a leading university, private institution in Nigeria, the proprietor, he said he can open his university, and he gave you a model. The model he gave is that they will admit the students, they'll keep them in hostels, that they have enough hostels to keep them under social distance. They will be testing them every 2 weeks. They will go on with their lectures. You see, it's not such private university can be able to open now. He said that he can open because he can buy a test kit, he can test the students, know those that are safe, and he said there will be vigorous testing every two weeks. Because virtually all the students and faculties are living on campus. They are living inside the campus. So with that model, they can be open, even despite with the COVID-19. If all the students are living inside the campus, all the faculties are living inside the campus, you test them. Every 2 weeks you test them. You find out that they can be opened. So you find out that the private institutions are more flexible. They need to refocus on the area of strength, because now with the challenge of COVID-19, it's no longer level playing ground. In one African nation, in South Africa, say any institution that is ready that can make the students to be safe can open. So once institution can open, you can keep the safety of the students. Of course, the government will ask you to open, and we need to embrace this e-learning, because with e-learning, we found out that a whole lot of it doesn't reduce quality. There was a study that was done in UK where the Open University of London was ranked the 5th among the best 9 universities, ranked higher than Oxford University in quality of teaching, the Open University. So, but the thing is that when you are using e-learning, did you invest? Do you have enough technology? Do you invest enough infrastructure? You need to invest enough infrastructure before you can have a quality learning using e-learning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really informative. Currently, we have approx 190 attendees with us, including some international attendees also. And we are receiving a lot of queries for you. There are a lot of questions. My next question is, sir, what would be the impact on global economy of COVID-19?
Well, the part of global economy, well, if I use the word, it has been quite devastating. Many organizations, especially the private organizations, the public quoted institutions, they have laid off. There have been a lot of job cuts. For British Airways, I learned they laid off thousands of workers. Canadian Airways dissenting thousands of workers. So the impact in the economy is, we cannot yet estimate it, but it is mind-blowing in terms of revenue that have been lost and a whole lot. So the earlier the pandemic ends, that we are praying to God that there will be a solution, either by vaccine or by drug. The impact is so devastating. That's why science institutions, as ivory towers, we need to be on top as to the solution to it. We need to be proactive. We need to devise ways, to see how we can tackle the challenge. Both institutions have been able to, some institutions, like for example, my institution, they were able to come up with such things as sanitizers, face masks, and some African countries, solar panel washing machine. But beyond that, the jobs that have been lost, how do you create jobs that have been lost? How do you sustain these organizations from being liquidated? Yet at the same time maintaining safety of life. So, because they keep the institutions, to keep the organizations afloat. This is the time we need the government intervention, either the International Monetary Fund or the World Bank and other international funding organizations, to see how to keep organizations afloat. Somehow the Western world are better in doing that, so that they don't keep on laying off workers. So the institutions, they see how they can open with the operations, at the same time maintaining safety of lives. So there's a lot of funding on technology, on the need for technology, funding on the part to maintain the institution, so that the operations are not stopped, and thereby. Okay. Okay, thank you. Hello.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Now, the last question of the session is that would you like to give any message for the Indian higher education fraternity, sir?
Well, I would say that India, the variables in India, there are variables there that India is very high up. Variables of information technology, India is very high there. So those strengths have to be maximized to the fullest. I know the population in India is another variable, but may not be that good one, because COVID-19 now makes it coming together, and the population of India is so much. So, but with the IT strength of India, this is the way to maximize the strength. Using it to devise different kinds of e-learning strategies, both within India and outside India. Internationalization, using e-learning to extend to Africa, to Europe, to America, and so on and so forth. So these are ways India can maximize their strength on IT to make sure, and also you have so much strength on drugs, on pharmacy and drugs. You know, these are strengths India can, you know, so that we can have a healthy population around the world. So these are areas with your technologies in pharmacy. If you extend it to countries in Africa, it can be a real boost to your institution. So these are areas. So maximize your strength on IT and other knowledge sectors like medical and pharmacy and all that. So that you can use it, using e-learning strategies to see how you can maximize it and look beyond India. You know, post COVID-19 now, we'll be thinking beyond the country, the boundary. We now focus more on boundless education. You know, so, and the competition is there. There will be so much competition. So we need to see how to balance the two sides, the economic side, and then the other side. So it's so competitive. So there's a lot of challenge there to offer free online resources to students, because if you don't maintain the grip to your students, your competitors will take them over. So if you have investments on IT infrastructure, you can maintain grip with your students. Find ways, like here in Africa, students are having challenge of poor connectivity of internet, the cost of data, they cannot buy data, they are not living in a conducive environment to learn, they are living in remote villages, they can't access internet. These are areas that institutions should find a way to change so that they can maintain grips with their students. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your guidance and your motivational words, sir. The way you explained the global scenario in such a short time, sir, it is really amazing. It was full of content and knowledge. Thank you once again. Now, I would like to request our group director, Dr. Puneet Kumar Dwivedi, sir, to propose a vote of thanks.
Hello, sir. Namaste.
Hello, Anji.
This is really a matter of pride. It is really a matter of pride to have you here. And for our group of institutions, modern group of institutions, we are feeling pride by attending your session. It was really very nice session. And we have seen around 200 participants from different parts of the country and from different countries also. They have participated in this online session on higher education. And my experience with you is always better, and always we have enjoyed many conferences and many sessions we met, and we had great fun. So this is again Like, I would like to say to all the participants that Professor Mbonu Chikwelu is a very amazing person, and I met him in many conferences, and we had many meetings, and we had done many researches. So this is the again opportunity for we all to hear such a person from Nigeria and senior person from academics. So I really welcome him, also thank him for this wonderful session. I also thank to all the participants who are listening this wonderful session, and those who are listening this series of sessions we are organizing, webinar series, national webinar series by important group of institutions. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Professor Mbonu. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I thank at last all the participants and the panelists who have marked their presence and make this webinar a success one. You all attendees will get the e-certification within the 7 working days. The feedback link all will receive after the end of this webinar. Thank you so much. On the behalf of Modern Group of Institution, I thank again. Thank you so much. Have a great day.